Y'all have no idea how flip-dipping excited I am for this video. Welcome to my chaotic yet peaceful channel. I am so excited because today I will be showing you how I made these traditional Romanian peach cookies. They turned out so amazing. They look exactly like how I wanted them to look. I followed a recipe tutorial by Jamila Cuisine here on YouTube. I'll link her channel down below, but she's amazing. Every step was really easy to follow. The only thing is, if you want to follow it, the tutorial is in Romanian, but it is still quite easy. I mean, I'll show you every step, so let's go.
Alright, so I started by making the dough. I added 100 grams of room temperature butter and 120 grams of sugar and mixed these two together very well. After getting a sort of cream consistency, I added the 2 eggs and stirred some more. The extra things I added that were not in her recipe were a packet of vanillin sugar, or vanilla sugar, and some lemon zest, which I usually preserve in a jar, but fresh would work well too. I also added in 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Then I added 150 ml of room temperature milk. And lastly, started to add in flour a few cups at a time so that I could incorporate it in well, because if you add too much flour, your dough could be too dry. I also added 10 grams of baking powder and a little bit of salt. I ended up using just slightly over 500 grams of flour in the end. I kneaded the dough using a folding method, but it's super easy to work with since it feels like a normal cookie dough, only slightly sticky, stretchy, and soft to the touch. Next, I laid out my baking paper on my tray and formed little cookie balls. I ended up weighing each one to be about 30 grams. The reason for this is because you want to make the 2 cookie halves kind of equal, since they will be stuck together to form the final peach in the end. Then I baked them at about 175 degrees Celsius for about 20 minutes. The cookies still need to be whitish when taken out of the oven. Some of them may crack on top, but that's fine. I noticed that the more tightly I rolled the dough, the less they cracked. I ended up baking 2 trays of these cookies with a total of 34 cookies, which in the end gave me 17 peach cookies. While still warm, I started scooping out a bit of the bottom of each cookie. This is the place where the filling will go, or the peach pit. With this part, I tried not to push too hard since the cookie can break, but they were generally tough enough to deal with the spoon. I also tried to make the hole as circular as possible. I didn't throw the crumbs away because they are used for the filling. I didn't film this part, but I used a hand mixer to further cut up the crumbs into a more finer powder. You could use a food processor, but I just don't have one. Next, I put 100 grams of walnuts through a cheese grater. If you don't know much about Romanian desserts, let me tell you, grounded walnuts are used in a ton of desserts. In my opinion, walnuts are probably a staple food in Romania. This filling won't taste the same without them, trust me. I then added the walnuts to the crumbs. I also added 50 grams of drinking chocolate powder. Usually you add cocoa powder and sugar, but I just opted for the easier version, which already has sugar in it. Give that a quick whisk. Then I added 100 grams of room temperature butter, 150 grams of apricot jam, but you could use any sort of jam. Peach would probably be ideal, but apricots are close enough, I guess. And 1 more packet of vanilla sugar, and this is the most important thing to add, rum essence or extract. This will give that amazing smell and flavor to the filling, and you won't want to miss it if you're making this specific filling. So the vanilla sugar and the rum essence are German. I don't get them at the usual Australian supermarkets. They sell them at shops which sell things imported from Germany, and German culture is decently big in Adelaide, so I can luckily find German/European food items most of the time. Once this filling is nice and thick and mixed, it was time to fill in the cookies. I first selected more or less equal halves. After filling both halves, I stuck them together and it formed a cute little peach-shaped cookie. This is so great because you finally see the full cookie starting to come together. By this point, the cookies should have cooled down quite a bit. If they are not cool enough though, put them in a fridge for a little while so they are cool enough for the next part, which is the decorating portion. I had 2 bowls with 150 ml of milk in each and a plate for pouring plain white sugar in. I used pink and yellow food coloring, but I've seen people use other colors like red, orange, or green. I guess you could really make them any color you wish, but if you want them to look like fruits, maybe stick to the colors I mentioned. People also use gel coloring sometimes because they say the colors are brighter, but I just used the normal food coloring and honestly, it's totally fine. So I dipped half of the cookie in yellow and half in pink, then I rolled it in the sugar. This is why it's important that the cookie temperature is cooler, because you wouldn't want the sugar to melt when you're trying to roll it and have it stick to the cookie. Remember that you kind of want it to look like peach fuzz, so melted sugar isn't ideal. This also ended up being quite a mess, so do it somewhere you don't mind getting sugar everywhere in. On second thought and watching this video back, I probably should have used a bigger plate, but why wash a huge plate when you can clean a whole ass counter though, am I right? After doing this, I chucked them in the fridge overnight. These are the kind of cookies that taste better the day after they are made, since all the ingredients kind of meld together and the cookies turn into a soft texture. When I tasted them the next day, I'm telling you, I was honestly speechless, and I forgot to say anything to the camera, so forgive me, but I guess that you can tell by my reaction that they were really good. Also, when you cut or bite through them, the inside looks like a little peach pit. I mean, how aesthetic is that? Come on now. 10 out of 10, chef's kiss. I also garnished them with some mint leaves, but you could probably use any sort of leaves you have, or peach leaves, but I didn't have any. You know the drill. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. Drop a comment down below with the word peaches if you made it all the way to the end. My socials are in the description box, and I'll see you next time. You know.